Hey guys, welcome to my SKT versus Fnatic VOD review. SKT, three-time world winner, Faker's team, you know that team. Fnatic, on the other hand, this is the first game actually watching of them for Group C, like the second half. I skipped the CG versus Fnatic one because I heard it was quite the fiesta, so I'm very interested to see how Fnatic is going to approach playing SKT the second time around. I think they're outmatched in a lot of ways, but I do know they got the victory for this game, so yeah, let's figure out how it happened. Okay, sure, credit to Fnatic, they are a one-time world champion.
To shut down what Fnatic is so well known for, and they honestly just...
I'm surprised SKT banned Yuumi, because, I mean, I'm not surprised about the TF ban at all. No team should give Fnatic TF, it is probably their best champion. Regarding Yuumi Garen, I think SKT actually matches up really nicely versus Yuumi Garen because Teddy can play incredibly hard scaling bot lanes like KO, Kog'Maw, even Vayne need be. And Fnatic weren't getting the kind of results they wanted with Yuumi Garen. So interesting that SKT banned Yuumi.
Just dismantled.
And now, as we've seen Garen Yuumi be popular kind of across the
Renekton.
groups, where the SK Telecom, despite having its...
There's some Asian teams that are going off with Renekton, especially when they have junglers that can play carry APs like Elise, Talia, and even Gragas to a certain extent. And SKT is definitely one of them. Actually, all three Korean teams can play that heavy topside Renekton playstyle.
successful plan against it last time. Do not want to deal with it again.
What's your last ban?
Nemesis' Twisted Fate. It is the Garen Yuumi denied from Hylissang and Reckless. And on the opposite side, Fnatic forced as the you have to on red side to just deny some of the most powerful picks in the tournament thus far. It is the Pantheon. It is the Renekton. We'll see what the last one will be.
Kayle ban from SKT is a little bit weird for me. I would have much liked to have seen SKT just open Kayle, play it themselves, or give it to Fnatic. I love how SKT is able to play rides into Kayle. I probably would have liked the Akali ban better here. It's a little bit weird versus Fnatic because Boipo doesn't really play Akali that well, and Akali can only go mid, so it's not that strong as a flex pick. But Akali on purple is really dangerous. I just would have liked to see a different ban other than Kayle.
SK Telecom have also opted to take Kayle away from Nemesis 2.
What are they going to do about the jungle trade here? If you ban out Elise last ban, and you kind of force them in a position where they have to choose with their first pick. Otherwise, you take away the Lee Sin from Klid. You're able to get it for Broxa as well.
I'm not hating the ban, but I'm not loving it either. Okay, so they take the kill.
Super powerful, flexible solo laner.
Yep. Akali's a little bit weaker on blue side because you can't keep the flex alive until the last pick, where on red side you can keep the flex alive until the last pick, but still a very good champion nonetheless.
And we know that both Khan and Faker are very comfortable on this champion, so big pickup for SKT. They have a lot of flexibility with the champion as well. Smiles on the faces of Whippo though, still showcasing his confidence as we move into Fnatic side. The Xayah Rakan are still up and available. They could look to just grab that for themselves again. Fnatic may also go for an early Lee Sin if they want to try and guarantee some comfort for Broxa.
Okay, Gragas.
Instead, though, it is going to be the Gragas for Broxa in the jungle. That is the comfort option, of course. The Elise, the Lee Sin still up and available. Klid will get his pick of the remaining top-tier junglers. And now
usually it's AD jungle on first rotation from red side.
Fnatic get to decide what they want to grab. Xayah feels like a strong pick to me, but perhaps they have a different plan for the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, Xayah and Khan both still available once again.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to take it here. I think that Xayah is
why AD jungle is so popular on first rotation from red side is AD jungle have the smallest amount of pulls available at the tournament. AD has realistically only 3 real champions you can play, and Ezreal is very, very situational. So taking one of the 2 good ADs like Kai'Sa or Xayah, very normal to do right here. And why jungle is also very important to take early. While there is a little bit more jungle champions that are viable, Gragas, Lee, Elise. What else is viable? Gragas, Lee, Elise. I think those are like the main 3. I mean, you can still play stuff like Jarvan, but jungle also has a low amount of pull, and jungle champions, people have way different mastery on. There's some people that are incredibly great on Gragas. There's some people that aren't very great on Gragas. Same thing for Lee, same thing for Elise. These junglers are actually, a lot of the junglers actually have very big preference for the jungle champs, and with the limited amount of pool, it's pretty good to get the first dip on them. And also by saving the third pick, you can counter pick anything they pick on 2 and 3.
The strongest AD carry on the current patch. It's something that Reckless is very comfortable on.
You can do stuff like Xayah Rakan here and take the jungle later, but
so you have to
yeah, they're just contesting the Gragas.
SKT, you would imagine they would look to lock in their jungle. They could also go for the Gangplank here.
Well, actually, they just could have done Xayah Rakan.
Show their hand just
I'm surprised they didn't do Xayah Rakan. They're afraid of Nautilus Kai'Sa. Xayah Rakan here actually would have been great. It's hilly.
A little bit, but it's also very safe for them to just lock in a strong bot lane if they want, given that the Nautilus has been left open.
I think because SK Telecom use Akali as a flex pick so powerfully, it would really benefit them to actually keep Akali as a flex pick, not show their other solo lane, and take either the Elise or the
No,
Lee
don't do
Sin,
the Cassio here. You're
looks
trolling.
like their
There's
priority
no way they're doing Cassio here. That would break the flex immediately and allow them to counterpick both solo lanes.
may have dropped on
No
the
way.
early
Okay,
game
there we go.
junglers. Haha!
There you go.
First time correct.
Just say everything, and one of the things you say will be right.
GP here for Bwipo early, not bad. Then they can play versus Khan. They can ban Vladimir here too. I wouldn't mind that.
Lee Sin will now be locked in. Of course, Fnatic can choose exactly what they want to do. If they
ban
want to,
Vladimir.
they will grab the GP for Bwipo on the top side. Not the same as the flex pick Akali on the opposite end, and supports can now be banned
Vlad
away
ban.
from both sides respectively if they do want to secure a winning bot lane matchup.
Now remember that this was the matchup that happened the last time they met. It was Khan's Akali versus Bwipo's Gangplank, and Bwipo did struggle in that 1v1. Not only has Khan had a great tournament, but in the early laning phase is also a very favorable.
Nautilus ban means they want to take Rakan here. Nautilus Leona ban would mean they want to take Rakan here, but SKT can always reply with the Rakan ban.
Matchup. So my current expectations are that this Akali will be going into the top lane, and assuming that Fnatic choose to get a mid lane counter pick rather than a support counter pick, then it should allow Fnatic to get at least a winning mid matchup.
Yeah, I think Fnatic should be looking for a possible roaming mid laner. I think that's when they have
Cassio.
the best.
Why? What is this Cassio ban? Do they want to take Ryze here?
Have Gangplank ultimate already that
This
Bwipo
one's
can
so
lane
weird.
from the top side of the map. If they also get Nemesis on something he can roam from the mid lane with, that would allow them to create those big plays with the semi-global.
Fnatic may consider a Thresh ban here. It's something that has been seen. Oh, okay, they're actually going to stick with the Ryze.
Yeah, they read it. They read it. Cassio ban means they want to pick Ryze. Good. Like both teams are reading each other so well.
The Akali Ryze duo, very strong split pushes and also very flexible. And for SKT, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like a Rakan ban. The only reason why they would
There we go, Rakan ban. Yeah. Cause I mean, like, you ban Nautilus, so they're banning Rakan. You ban Cassio, so they're banning Ryze. Like, both teams are reading each other extremely well. But now that means they can pick Vladimir into Gangplank, and Akali can go mid.
Into it, which it seems like they don't want to have to deal with it for now.
And Hylissang, of course, one of the champions that he has been a massive game changer on for Fnatic in matches past.
Morg, no.
We may see something else.
No, Garen. Don't do it, Reckless. Don't do it.
Maybe a Karma hover. Can't imagine any of them.
Oh, he's trolling me. He's actually trolling.
It's on SK Telecom Team 1 now to lock in their final solo laner as well as their support option.
Leo.
Leona once again coming out for Hylissang. A lot of
All-Star.
deaths in the
Yeah,
previous game. Hylissang caught out.
I'm so surprised like people don't play All-Star into Leona more. It is such a good matchup, and I think All-Star is really good in the meta right now because there's so much bruisers and people that need to be in melee range, and All-Star deals so well with that.
A lot, but still, Fnatic hold the faith in that pick.
I wouldn't be surprised if SKT went for an Alistar here. I think Alistar is a great matchup into Leona.
Thank you,
How much
Bedius.
harder it makes her engage tools. This would be pretty spicy if SKT chose to go for this, but every time you pick anything that is good
All-Star,
at
there we go.
disengaging the moment the Leona goes in is typically a great matchup, and that's why I'm
Vladimir.
a huge fan of the Alistar.
What?
And I really do like
This pick and ban was so predictable for both sides. Akali first pick, Gragas Xayah, and then Gangplank on 3. The only thing that was weird was them not banning Vladimir, but these bans were pretty... Cassio ban was a little weird, but other 3 were pretty predictable. All-Star into Leona, Vladimir into GP.
things where you can separate the teams once again. We saw it in the last game, but once Leona engages on you, if you can then separate her from the rest of the team, turning that one-way trip.
Silas into Akali, GP top. Silas actually really good here because there's an Alistar, Kai'Sa, Akali, 3 great ults to steal.
In your favor, that's a big deal. Lee Sin kick, Alistar headbutt are things that they can accomplish it with. And with the Vladimir last pick here for SKT,
I think Silas actually isn't bad here.
A lot more team fight presence to their composition.
Veigar, this one's a little weird. I actually think Silas would have been excellent. Your matchup is Akali, a matchup that's good for Silas. You have 3 great ultimates to steal. Alistar, Kai'Sa, Akali. I actually think Silas would have been really good.
Ooh, we're going to be seeing the Veigar counter. I know this was something that I think propped up this split in the LCS a couple of times as an answer to the Akali. No, come on. They're not going to do that.
No.
I'm pretty confident that the Veigar is going to be sent to the mid lane. And
Veigar stops 4 movements.
Because every time she goes into a shroud, you have the Event Horizon, I believe is the name.
Yep.
Veigar good into Kai'Sa.
The thing about Akali is she only has
Actually pretty good into Akali, pretty good into Lee.
As long as Veigar is either inside or outside of the Event Horizon, and he creates
everything you guys said regarding Veigar being able to stop movement champion is 100% true, but it's also really dangerous versus good Alistars and good Lee Sins. Because there's slight delay on Veigar's cage, so good Lee and good Alistar will be able to engage or insect the Veigar before.
Space, there's no way for the Akali to close the gap.
It does mean that the Veigar is playing defense for the early game, though. So, I mean, we saw this in the LCS. Niski picked it for Cloud9 in the mid lane. And you do have to try and work around that. It's going to be extremely difficult for them to actually go super offensive with it. So I think, again, especially with the Gangplank pick for them, a lot of their eyes
Veigar is definitely a curveball.
Towards the bottom half of the map.
I don't recall Nemesis playing Veigar in LEC. Did he have Veigar games? I don't think so, right? There wasn't good Veigar matchups even in LEC. He did once? Okay. Alright, let's go to the second cam. Oh yeah, versus Azir. Yeah, that was one of the matchups people would play it into. See it.
And here we are in the 3rd game of the day. 3 more left to decide the group. Fnatic have to win this one. Want to keep up. Currently tied with RNG in the scoreline. Need to find a win versus SKT and a win versus RNG later.
Now for SKT, they have a pretty solid 2v2 in the bot lane.
Glad to see both Vladimir and GP not taking Klepto.
Effort, largely because of the Alistar. Early levels, they may be able to have a wave clear advantage, so they can look to gain push, but in this early game, I feel that SKT's bot lane should be relatively safe. Meanwhile, Veigar is going to struggle against an Akali early levels. His wave clear and damage is nothing, well, there's nothing there. He doesn't really do a lot, so Akali has a lot of freedom. And for the Vlad, this is a lane matchup where you have a lot of freedom, because Gangplank can't really force you out of lane. Even if he can trade pretty aggressively early, there's plenty of scaling options and is considered one of the best late game picks. So when I look at this SKT comp, I think they have pretty strong scaling. I think they have pretty effective side.
I'll talk a little bit about the Alistar-Leo matchup, why it's so good for Alistar. Whenever Leona comes in, Alistar has 2 options, and both options are incredibly good. Alistar can either Q the Leona, and both Alistar Kai'Sa focus down the Leona, and Alistar is really tanky, especially when he gets his ultimate. Or when the Leona comes in, if the Leona is going on the Kai'Sa, Alistar can W away the Xayah, and then the Alistar and Kai'Sa focus down on Leo. It's really hard for the Leona to get a good engage on Alistar or the Kai'Sa earlier on in the game. So he just, when Alistar separates both Q and W instead of using it to combo, he's an incredibly strong PO champion.
Side lanes, and I think that they don't need to force a lot in the early game. If they want to play around the lane, I think they should try and play through mid to try and put the Veigar behind and try and get Faker in an advantageous position.
Oh.
Honestly, if you're
not a
looking
bad
at
trade here.
SK Telecom's point of view, you do want to see
using ward just to make sure you can get that trade.
Great plays for the team early on. I've talked to a lot
Really
of
good for Whippo.
players. They want to go as aggressive as they can early.
Because normally when Vlad and GP both get to lane, Vlad is ranged, so Vlad can really bully around the GP, even in early levels. But Whippo getting that initial trade is so good for him. Vlad is incredibly weak earlier on.
Versus the Vladimir, try and make as much use of your passive as possible. Try and get your harassment with your grass procs down, because later on, the Vladimir is going to be able to dive you and provide that threat. Definitely one of the best scaling matchups, as you alluded to.
And I think a lot of pressure on Nemesis to perform, because he is going toe-to-toe with Faker in a matchup that should lose early, even if it has some ideal interactions into the matchup. And Faker,
Level 2, level 2, level 2, level 2. Oh, that was so dangerous.
Far.
Wow, Whippo smashing. Holy.
I thought it was an aggressive trade on the top side, a flash for flash trade, but both mid and top apparently going to be quite important in this game.
And that's exactly what you want to see from the Gangplank side of this early, because Vladimir is just trying to get levels into Q. A nice barrel chain again from Whippo. And they're actually prepping this one. This is a topside clear from Broxa. He's taking a long time on Krugs, but
Whippo
if he
got
would have gotten over there another 5 seconds earlier, that was going to be a dive. Now off of the teleport, they can try and deny the big minion wave.
I wonder if Khan has taken...
Khan didn't full HP. He didn't come back with full HP.
I think they're waiting to see. That's why Brox is holding off. He doesn't want to die while he thinks it could be up. If he does take the E, though, they could force it. Brox is going to stay and wait for the Scuttle Crab spawn, and Khan, now hitting level 3, will be fine to survive any kind of dive.
But now hanging around the bot side of the map. You talk about how difficult it is for Hylissang and Relentless to engage on this duo, and you can see that they're playing much more defensively in the 2 versus 2, especially given that their jungler is currently topside. They will know where Clid is, and they will just keep an eye on whether or not the blue buff has been stolen.
And that's the key. It's about the information that you gain and using that to predict where the enemy is. With Brox's invade and putting that ward down,
triple
Blue
buff
and Gromp both gone for SK Telecom, they know by process of elimination, Clid has to be bottom. So that is simple communication, process of elimination on your jungle camps. By them predicting that Clid will be here, they
triple
back
buff.
off. They don't want to give him an opportunity to go for the gank. It is
see, this is what's so bullshit. Like, it's really hard to get a good engage on the Kai'Sa.
Still going to be the blue steal, though.
Knockback there, good bit of trading. Reckless not able to find the snare quite yet, and Effort will be able to walk away from that one.
Fnatic got ahead in that trade, but the thing is, like, they got the engage on the 80 carry as a Leona, and like the trade just being like slightly ahead is what's really weird. Where it should be like a trade you crush them in. And then yeah, this is like the vice versa of it, right? When you get engaged on as the Leona, it's actually really bad for you, but it's not that great when you engage. That's why I love Alistar into Leona. It's such a good matchup. It's good offensively, and it's also good defensively.
Fnatic falling and giving away first blood.
You're putting that on him?
Yeah.
I think that was a really nice job by Effort, sticking with him, charging up the stun, landing it as Hylissang gets off the E to try and engage on Clid. Hylissang does not immediately flash away. If you let the Alistar charge up for the auto stun here, so here, he had his only chance to flash away would have been super early. The stun charges up for Effort. He ends up flashing out. Top side though, Faker's roaming.
Faker now stepping up into Whippo.
Oh.
Shovel land, the TP being used as well just to make sure that Whippo is safe. Nemesis
the Vladimir
his way towards
is like a black hole of pressure that people are going to have to babysit.
Midwave is in a bit of an awkward spot because I think it's actually slowly pushing towards Faker, which is not really the state that Nemesis wants it in. But
they're going to have to keep going topside. They're going to have to keep helping out.
Well.
GP's going to have more effect on the map with his ultimate. He's going to scale evenly with Vladimir. Vladimir is not going to get ahead on items on GP. Going to have a hard time finding kill potential. And even when Lee Sin ganks, cause it's a GP, he can eat out of the kick and flash away too. There's so many good things going for GP if he ever gets ahead on Vladimir.
They should have recognized that jungler should have been in that.
Why did you want Fnatic to ban Vlad?
Given that you saw Brox at top, given that they had the...
I mean, cause Vladimir GP matchup doesn't go like this normally.
And while Hylissang was playing defensively, it felt like that he was not fully prepared for the potential of that gank to happen, and they end up getting punished for it.
And we're looking at another case of this information. 2 wards here from SKT. See that there is no Brox on the bottom half of the map. So Klid started up. Now he's getting low inside the Dragon though, and Hillsang's there.
Hillsang walking in, trying to deny this one away.
What?
Who's going to use the ult
You
as well.
trolling, Klid.
Off of this one. Broxa can walk in and try to stop the Dragon from resetting. Hillsang going to commit to the play anyway, but he's so low. Hillsang is going to go down for this one. Teddy grabs the kill.
Wow, Klid trolled and then Hylissang trolled.
Flashes, but the Kai'Sa auto is there for the passive. Dragon does reset, but it costs Hylissang his life. That is 2 now.
And you can understand that from Fnatic's perspective, they were like, well, the support doesn't have flash available. We can look to commit onto this play, but they also didn't have an AD carry there.
Holy, he almost didn't get that.
Catch that wave underneath his tower, which is why SKT going for that Drake was actually very safe. They weren't in any real danger because they knew they had numbers advantage.
Exactly. It's not only the bottom lane pressure for SKT, but again, as I talked about in Champ Select, returning to this Veigar Akali matchup, especially with Nemesis blowing the teleport from Veigar to answer the roam earlier topside, Faker has so much priority in mid lane, it allows SKT those collapses.
And
I think Akali will just have priority on Veigar regardless earlier on.
Is on the map right now. He perfectly pinged out that the jungler was
Veigar level 6 versus Akali
which means that
can never land the
has
stun.
to play defensively. Of course, the wave
Akali not mana gated.
He's gonna take his time
She should always have prior.
Also known as effort, looking for a bit of a roam. Gonna maybe drop some vision down, maybe hang around mid to cover Faker, which is where Broxa could look for again.
Now we see Lee Sin stepping up, will be spotted out by the control ward in the brush. But Klid can look over and maybe look to contest Raptors.
Not happening.
Not Raptors, rather Krugs if they are going to respawn. And Bwipo
Not
has to be very
happening.
careful. Grass plus the oranges should make this a little bit easier for him. Broxa now on the way. The Predator has now come out. They want to finish the kill off, but Bwipo is still alive. They've gotten locked up under the tower. He wants to finish it. Khan goes right back in the pool, keeping him healthy. He's going to have the empowered Q, but he can't do it. Klid, however, can finish the job. Kicks his Broxa back.
Broxa, ult!
Is a highway
Ult!
back out. Broxa now hitting level 6.
Ult!
Ticking.
Wait!
The Sonic wave. Once he's going to have the empowered Q, but he can't do it.
Ult here!
Klid, however, can finish.
Now ult again, ult! Ult! He doesn't have W or flash, ult him in!
Back, wants to use the Gragas as a highway back out. Broxton now hitting level 6. Ticking. Gonna miss on the Sonic Wave. A tense 1v1 between the junglers, but both top laners drop.
And I want to circle that minion wave right there. That thing gets denied no matter what. So it, in the end, is still a successful dive for SK Telecom because Bwipo doesn't get those minions. However, good job by Broxa coming to
I think he
answer
could have
that
ulted.
dive and try and turn it around. They do get the kill back.
And notice how Khan is tanking up the tower initially. He
Oh,
knows that he can soak
really
up the
good use.
damage, and Bwipo comes very close. If he lands that one auto, that would have been the kill, but it wasn't.
Oh! How the fuck does he land Qs in situations like this?
Bwipo comes very close. If he lands that one auto, that would have been the kill,
Bwipo run here.
but it wasn't quite.
Wow, if he doesn't land this Q, Bwipo does not die.
Good Q there.
They wouldn't have had damage.
To be able to find the execute.
They killed the Vladimir, Bwipo doesn't die, Broxas level 6, Klid dies here, it's 2 for 0, instead now it's 1 for 1.
As both top laners end up getting traded. Broxa does actually have his ultimate, but he chooses not to use it. Doesn't want to go for the overcommit against Klid, given that Faker was roaming up towards the top side.
That dive was not possible.
You can see how much
Klid overplayed
SKT
it.
have control over the early game.
I mean, Teddy, just a massive lead over Reckless. Nemesis doing what he can to keep up with Faker. So far, a good job. Only a 200 gold deficit. You give him the scaling from his passive. Maybe it does balance out, but a very difficult start for Fnatic. And you can see the bot side just getting pushed in constantly. Cleanse, of course, still available on the side of Teddy, so he doesn't really have to be scared of this Fnatic bot side.
And we have approached the favored side of the Vladimir in this matchup. As Khan now level 7, getting the lower cooldown for his Q, getting the cooldown reduction from both items in inventory here, able to span out and continually heal. Now it gets very difficult for the Gangplank side. Currently, Bwipo pushing him in, and Broxa is top side. But aside from that,
Bwipo wants
it is
that
gonna be
demolish
now
it.
SKT looking towards the Ocean Dragon.
Bwipo,
Oh.
gonna be happy with the play, but Khan might be fishing for the kill. We'll just use the Crimson Rush.
Man, he overplayed so hard for that demolish it.
Will get spotted out by the vision. Immediately, Klid should make his way towards the Drake.
No,
because they
Kobe's correct that the Vladimir should start beating the GP, but the items are better for GP than it normally is. And also just what happened early, like map state is better for GP too. Like they should not be even CS at this moment.
recognize the Reckless has based. There's not going to be any AD carry to threaten. Faker has Prio on mid. And so SKT have everything they could want. And again, this game should signify how smart Clit is as a jungler. He is playing around where he has pressure. He was bot side of the map early because he knew they would get the early push. When he paths up towards top, it's because there is a stacking wave from Khan, which means that they can set up the dive. And now he's back on the bot side of the map because he knows the Gragas wants to do a top side clear, and he's in position to steal away the blue buff. Everything is calculated, and Clit is in the right place at the right time at every stage of this game so far.
And exactly as I said, they're going to take the Ocean Dragon there because Broxa on the control world reveals nobody is going to answer. Faker poking
Damn, Faker
down
dunking
Nemesis
this matchup.
very, very early here, and the rest of SKT smell blood.
They're just going to go for
Flash.
it. But Pulverizing Salt's going to take it. So they're going to go for Brox. They're going to try to make their way out of that one. Nemesis is going to try to find the stun. Brox is going to come out into a stun member. Will now be able to make it out to safety, trying to knock him back. Clit going to get taken down. A clean turn. The gangplank hold as well. Teddy burning, and here comes Hillisang for the shutdown.
What a turnaround for Fnatic!
What?
Knock him.
Poking down Nemesis very, very early here, and the rest of SKT smell blood.
W, Q, flash. WQ flash.
Going to go for it.
What?
But Pulverizing Salt's going to take it. So they're going to go for Brox. They're going to try to make their way out of that one. Nemesis is going to try to find the stun. Brox is going to come out into a stun member. Will now be able to make it out to safety, trying to knock him back. Clit going to get taken down. A clean turn. The gangplank hold as well. Teddy burning, and here comes Hillisang for the shutdown.
What a turnaround for Fnatic! Look at that defense!
Wow, Fnatic actually hold the line. I was convinced.
Q flash is really hard to dodge because when you do Q flash on auto start, you cancel the animation of Q, and then you shift to a different position, and then you're knocking up people. I watched Mad Life do that play so many times over again. It's really hard to react to. You W to one person, and then you Q flash to another. Fnatic still could have outplayed this, and it is obvious enough where Nemesis could have flashed it. I mean, I'll say this, if I see a pro play that's possible, 90% of the time, the pro player will also see that play, and they will know that's possible too. So, I don't think it's guaranteed to say Nemesis would have gotten hit by the Q flash, but what I will say is I think that's 100% the right play that should have been taken from effort. If they're gonna do this dive, I think it's W on Gragas and Q flash onto Veigar.
Rest of SKT smell blood.
They're just going to go for it. Headbutt
Yeah,
Pulverizing Salt.
W Q flash on Nemesis. I think that would have been the right play.
Take it, so they're going to go for Brox. They're going to try to make their way out of that one. Nemesis is going to try to find the stun. Brox is going to come out into a stun member. Will now be able to make it out to
It would have been really hard for him to react to the Q flash.
Down, a clean turn. The gangplank hold as well. Teddy burning, and here comes Hillisang for the shutdown.
What a turnaround for Fnatic! Look at that defense!
Wow, Fnatic actually hold the line. I was convinced it was going to be doomed, but Fnatic actually walk away. They've managed to close the goal gap significantly, and Reckless is just free farming in the bot side of the map. So as we approach the mid game, Fnatic clearly not conceding.
This is so good for Reckless and so good for Fnatic. 2 free farm here, and then Herald threat here. So good on multiple parts of the
waiting
map.
around, maybe going to look for some kind of contest. Faker's coming in as well. No ultimate available for the Akali. Nemesis zoning off this entire area. Faker still, though, fearlessly stepping forward. Effort on the way in as well.
Reckless has TP if he wants to join the fight, but Fnatic
No,
haven't had
don't
an
fight.
opportunity to reset after that play, and I think they should just disengage.
They may have just leashed this for the side of SKT. Will they
They
stay
def-
too long? Will they try to overcommit? Eye on the barrel.
Oh,
The stun is
4-man Vlad. Look at the Vlad gonna get HP. When you hit ult on 4 people, look at his
They're
HP in a
gone.
bit.
4 members. That is a massive hemo plague. Reckless now keeping in. They're going to try to turn this one. They're going to try to burst Khan down.
Oh my god. Wait, what the hell? You guys, he did get a lot of HP back, but he also trolled in the process. Q flash. Oh, okay, actually Hilly got moded that. Wait, I'm pretty sure he could have pulled there though. Yo. Oh, okay. Maybe he couldn't pull at all.
The objective is still alive.
It was ult, Q Leona, E Gragas. That's like 2 to 3 seconds. Yeah. I thought he could move a little bit, but he was it was Gragas E moving him.
On the Herald, who gets it in the
No, he moved a little bit because of Gragas, not because he moved.
Effort has now been locked up. And once again, a beautiful Vigar stun. Teddy can't get back in the fight. He has to burn cleanse to do so. Reckless, fearlessly.
Don't go in,
firing
Faker.
into Faker. The double kill going down for Bwipo.
And Fnatic
On the Herald, trying to turn this one. They're going to try to is there. Khan hitting 4 members. That is a massive hemo play.
Oh, Khan here overplayed so hard. More so than overplay, I think it would have really good for Hilly too, because Hilly's running away and he did it so quickly, it was impossibly hard for him to react to.
Reckless now TPing in. They're going to try to turn this one. They're going to try to burst Khan down before he can get into the pool. He won't get a chance. The objective is still alive.
They
Eyes
took
on the
it.
Herald, who gets it in the end. SKT,
Clay
but
didn't want to
Fnatic
take it.
will play defense. We'll try to stop this one away. Effort has now been locked up. And then once again, a beautiful Vigar stun. Teddy can't get back in the fight. He has to burn cleanse to do so. Reckless.
Second time today
firing
where
into
SKT
Faker.
got
The
Herald,
double
but they
kill
can't
going
take it.
down for Bwipo.
and Fnatic actually come out on top of this fight, and it's all because Reckless is able to TP in. They had the numbers advantage, a lot of the ultimates were unavailable for SKT, and while Khan did land a huge ulti, there was no real follow
In these
for
like
SKT.
small choke fights,
Fnatic
holy, the
out
Veigar.
duration of the Hemo Plague.
TP?
Oh!
They're teleporting
Oh, they got it, holy.
to pick up the Eye of the Rift
In these
here.
like small
I have
choke
to
fight,
say, though, also
Veigar
that
cage
turn
is like
from Hillis
insane.
on the Leona. He has been the target of so much over and over, dying. Here we go, though. We're going to see Brox's stopwatch on display.
Props to Gragas for body blocking, then he uses the stopwatch, and combined with the stun and the GP
Ding.
ultimate, SKT realize how bad of an idea this ends up being. Quick TP in from Bwipo along with the roam from Hylissang allows Fnatic to gain so much off the back of this play.
Yeah, stopwatch just changes the game there. Here's the turn I'm talking about. They cut out the Hemo Plague immediately, turn onto Khan. They eliminate the Vladimir from the equation, and then they're even able to chase down the extra kill.
And look at what
God, look at this cage. Jesus. Faker can't get out. Teddy can't walk in. And Clit is stunned. 3 people got fucked by this cage. Holy shit. This is like... Damn. This is top tier caging.
Teddy does in this whole fight. He lands a W, he lands a Q, and a single auto. But outside of that, it was a 4 versus 5. SKT chose to stick around even at a numbers disadvantage, and that is what allowed
Cage in
Fnatic
that
to
like
find the successful
small
fight.
choke was
It's
god
just
tier.
so difficult to play team fights as a Kai'Sa up against a Veigar. The slows, if you get too close from the hose, he's also got the freedom to try to ult in, but if you alter that cage, you instantly die. Cleanse is there, but he did not want to use it, and now SKT are applying pressure on the top side. They want to use that.
My faith when I'm in Vladimir, I have 2 CDR items, and the enemy GP has Trinity, Doran Sword, Booth, and a Corrupting Pot.
Herald, they want to grab
Ugh.
these plates, and if Bwipo steps too far forward,
Ugh.
they may just look for the dive.
Go after
Get
Fnatic
me
using
out.
what side of the map though? They
Get me
recognize that
out
jungle
of
is
here.
probably going to be top. Broxer doing the cross map and looking to set up for a play bot.
Ult on top.
Bwipo now getting run.
He's gonna kick. He's gonna
Ulti does connect. He has been locked up under tower.
Oh,
Still alive, however,
fruit.
Bwipo so incredibly tanky. Khan
Flash Q,
overstaying
just
low,
flash
trying
Q.
to tank the tower,
Oh,
but now
wrong
Bwipo
one.
just look for the double.
Bwipo.
So incredibly tanky.
Small mistake by Bwipo here.
Broxer doing the cross map and looking to set up for a
It's really advanced GP mechanics, but because everyone from whatchamacallit, because I know everyone here is like Giga Challenger, I'll tell you guys something he could have done. So you see how he eats fruit after he got kicked? But because we're all challengers here, if you can predict that Lee would Q, then you start your W animation a little before you get kicked. And then as he's kicking, you eat the fruit, and then you can flash immediately, and it like basically cancels the kick completely. Because everyone here is challenger, like everyone here can react to that, right? Eat the fruit slightly before you get kicked. Yeah, the range is hard, and also they overlapped.
To take the tower, but now Bwipo might just look for the double. Steps forward, parlay. Can he get in range? Time warp tonic will be enough. The extra movement speed.
He's laughing.
He's just laughing.
He's laughing.
Nemesis though, now he's the one in trouble. The slow does connect. Faker willing to go right back under tower.
What?
Oh, Nemesis Nemesis just smashes Faker underneath the tower. The ultimate from the Vigar, putting him in his place.
Failed tower dive after failed tower dive after failed
What is SKT doing?
dive for SK Telecom, and Fnatic, with resounding success here, are going to push back.
And in the game versus RNG, we talked about it. Sometimes SKT try too hard to force these plays, and we're seeing it once again. Fnatic punishing it every turn. And that's almost a 3K gold lead, 2.5 in favor of Fnatic at this point in the game, and they only get scarier. The Veigar are going to continue.
Casters on day 1. God is back! Casters on the second time SKT plays Fnatic. What is Faker doing?
To scale, the GP on the top side, 3-1-3 for Bwipo. An abysmal week 1 into a monster performance in this game.
I'd love to say the Nemesis outplayed Faker there, but that's just the power of the Vigar ultimate.
Primordial burst!
It's just so much damage.
Primordial
And,
burst!
It scales off missing HP as well, and we'll get to see it. In this situation, most mid laners would have lost their life. Faker recognizes that with the Merc Treads, he can commit to this dive, and he's thinking,
How does he get insta-bursted like that? Q. Oh, okay, turret OP. And Veigar right-click UOP.
tower shot as well. Maximum outplay.
120 AP earned from the passive so far for Nemesis. Here we go.
Faker, though, is going to get knocked back here. Nemesis expecting him to get aggressive again, throws down the cage a little bit early, and can just return to farm. And of course, Vigar just
Veigar R has execution now. It doesn't scale off of enemy AP, it scales off of enemy missing health now.
Bwipo was taunting earlier, but he's got to give this one up. He knows
Man,
SKT.
Bwipo did, even though Bwipo loses his turret, like Khan basically had to get babysat, and Lee couldn't go mid lane where he needed to be. Like Lee's job in this game isn't to babysit the Vladimir. Lee's job in this game is to kill Veigar over and over again with the Akali, or he should be diving GP. I mean, the dives are failing, so I guess like he's going kind of the right place, but yeah, to leave Vladimir into GP, this is not how it's supposed to play out.
Brute Force will be able to take that tower. Let's see here about moving in on the ward line, because they've spent so much of their vision on the top half of the map.
You can see a stopwatch up for Teddy along with the cleanse, so he can play a little bit more aggressively and step forward. Still giving Reckless and Hylissang a lot of respect, though, and backing off the wave as Faker just checks the brush just in case.
I think one thing troll about running cleanse instead of TP is it makes your laning so much worse, and also cleanse is actually pretty bad late game because you can't cleanse the Leona ult twice, right? You can't cleanse the Leona ult once and then on the next cooldown your cleanse is on cooldown while Leona ult is up. But when you have QSS, you can match like big CCs in terms of cooldown. So I actually really don't like running cleanse that much on AD carry.
So
I think you just buy QSS.
Fnatic
Just take the hit, buy QSS.
found a gold lead.
Cleanse feels like a waste so many of the
You
time.
have to recognize that SK2, in my opinion, do have a scaling advantage with Vladimir along with the Kai'Sa in the late game. We've already seen what Teddy can do against RNG in the late.
I'm not too sure about the scaling advantage. Vlad Kai'Sa versus GP Xayah. I wouldn't just say, oh man, the Vladimir outscales. I think GP Veigar, Xayah, Vladimir, Akali, Kai'Sa, like scaling is pretty even, and it's going to depend on item power spikes.
Game, and while their 5v5 is not the easiest to execute, I still feel that in terms
Also,
of
in terms of gameplay pattern, Lee, Akali, and Kai'Sa have a hard time versus Cage. I think scaling is even, if anything.
but especially in the late game and being able to play on sides, it's something that Fnatic have to respect.
I feel like Fnatic also do have some decent scaling for themselves.
For sure.
Yes, thank you, Kobe.
You know, Gangplank as well as Veigar getting his...
But it's one of those situations to me where I'm like, okay, if Gangplank has to go up against a Vlad in a side lane, I would give the advantage to the Vlad once he reaches a certain item threshold. And while I think that for a Vigar, he does scale well later on into team fights, in a side lane, he's not going to have that same value.
Why the fuck would Vigar go to a side lane? Why can't they just start objectives? It's not like because you have a split push, enemy team has a 1-3-1 comp, you don't have to be in a side lane to match them. You can just go team fight versus team fight, especially if you're ahead. Like in this situation, Fnatic is here before Vladimir is here, right? So now Vladimir has to come down and not Fnatic has to go up. So it's dependent on who can make the first play. If I set up on Baron before Vladimir is split pushing, then the Vladimir has to come meet me. If the Vladimir is split pushing and the Akali is split pushing before I can get on top of Baron, then both the Veigar and the GP has to go deal with it. It's scaling is never linear like that where one team scales better or the other team. It's a lot of times it's dependent on state of the game.
That thought as the siege is starting up mid lane, the cage laid down. Flashbacks to Cloud9 from so many worlds ago. An effort tries to go in, but it's Mike Costa. Hillsang gonna go forward, but he misses on the Zenith blade. Throws down the ult. He wants to get.
Wait, how? Both supports played really bad there.
Starting up mid lane, the cage laid down. Flashbacks to Cloud9 from so many worlds ago. An effort tries to go in, but it's Mike Costa laid.
He trolled by not ulting immediately.
Side lane, he's not going to have that same bout.
To hold that thought as
Ult,
siege is starting
ult,
up mid lane,
ult,
the cage
ult.
laid down. Flashbacks to Cloud9 from so many worlds ago. An effort tries to go
Oh
in,
shit,
but
and
it's
I
Mike
need to get
Costa.
rid of
Hillsang
this.
gonna go forward, but he misses on the Zenith blade. Throws down the ult. He wants to get something. Effort deleted. The cast comes down, and that's the kill for Broxa.
Here we go, flank. SKT are behind.
Khan wants it on the backside. The cage has already been used.
Oh, this was so bad.
That's the kill for Broxa.
Here we go, flank.
Wait for the Vladimir. Oh, if he waited 1 second here. Just wait 1 second. If you, oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm stepping on a trash bag. If he waited 1 second and Vladimir was here, level 11 Vladimir on top of this is so different for a fight. Just wait 1 second.
Effort deleted. The cast comes down, and that's the kill for Broxa.
Here we go, flank.
Wait 1 second, let the Vladimir be closer.
SKT are behind.
Khan wants it on the backside. The cage has already been used. Nemesis is going to delete Faker to kick the fight off. The Hemo Plague has landed on 4 members, but they're not.
Oh, Vladimir gets this kind of ult off, and there's these 3 people low HP. Oh my god, fight is so different if Akali's alive here.
Gonna have the ball up. Khan now caught in the cage. Fnatic, they can keep the fight going. He desperately wants to turn it. Khan locked up. The CC comes through, and Khan goes down.
And it's so difficult for SKT to engage on this Fnatic comp just because of the Veigar. Nemesis is
No, it was difficult because Faker trolled and went before Khan got there. Oh, that was such a troll by Faker. I hope the casters call him out.
doing a fantastic job of utilizing this event horizon to zone SKT away, land so much poke, and now they've just secured a successful fight and another tower.
Fnatic are making Faker look like an imposter here. He goes for the engage, immediately burst him down. Once Akali's dead, Khan knows that his flank, he's got to go all the way through.
Kobe, you troll. Kobe, you said God is back, and then now you're saying Faker looks like an imposter. Maybe don't make such extreme statements on the first day, and you don't have to rubber band so hard.
Through and run to the rest of the team. Here's another look at how it actually started. The siege from Fnatic, throwing down the stun from Veigar to zone them off of the turret, then turning the focus here. Even though Hillsang misses the flash E, he lands the ultimate, which sets up Broxa to pour one out.
Oh, no cage too. Oh my god. This was perfect. Veigar no cage, Akali ult, Lee ult, Kai'Sa ult, Vlad ult, all up. Faker waits a little, they can destroy this fight.
You can see how much damage Nemesis is doing on this Veigar as well, and
What a body slam.
Nemesis even uses his ultimate here, doesn't need it. The damage coming out from the rest of Fnatic is more than enough, and they know that they can keep committing to the rest of this fight.
That was a fight with Veigar
Early
cage down
dive
too.
was Broxa's stopwatch. This one, Broxa's body slam there, stunning up Faker. He has really been a combo breaker to SK Telecom's attempts.
This is a huge game for Broxa, and an important one as well, as it's been the story of so many different underperformances over the course of the first week.
So for people that are saying Faker's E is running out, he can let his E run out and go in later, or he can just not use his E in the first place when the Vlad was so far away.
Now into the second week, Broxa showing up when it matters most.
And
Just the timing there was so
it's
important.
really important that you mentioned that, Dracos, because all of the criticism was going towards Broxa and Whippo, this duo, but they're a large part of why Fnatic are in this position right now. They're looking for Faker.
I'd say smacking Faker's a good way to turn the critics around. Faker caught in the cage. Faker knocked into the ground. 6 feet under. As Fnatic will take.
This is like the problem regarding like saying you can split push versus a team like this. When they hard engage on you and when they're grouping before you're in split push situation, you get pulled around and you have to go to the team fight team. You can't split push.
If you go at the king, you best not miss, and Fnatic aren't missing today. They find him again. He's in the death chamber for 25 more seconds, and they're on the inhibitor
If
turret.
you swing at the king, you best not miss.
As much CC as he wants, but still they're just taking him down. They're chipping through. They don't care about the Alistar ultimate. They want to burn him down, and they're going to do it. Bwipo's focusing the tower. The rest of SKT have to run for the hills, and even Khan's Vladimir is not enough. Hylissang going golden.
What is a king to a god?
Where's the cage going to go? Khan trying to turn this fight around desperately. It goes down. Khan will be caught inside, but will not be stunned. The tower will drop in favor of Fnatic.
Fnatic's being so decisive with engages.
SKT looking to get something back.
They think Fnatic have overstayed. They think they've overextended. Faker still with ult available, but he's going to back off. He doesn't want to take the risk. The rest of the team want to retreat here.
What is a god to a non-believer?
The Verdi Music Hall has now come alive. Fnatic looked abysmal against Clutch Gaming. You could feel the doubt in this room as that team struggled to take down Clutch, and now they sit
And
with
this isn't like
5K
SKT
gold
and
advantage over.
for people that are saying SKT is win trading, shut the fuck up. SKT is losing this because there's so much individual mistakes that were made. A lot of individual mistakes from Vladimir, a lot of individual mistakes from Faker also.
SKT.
And a 10-stack matchup
Khan and Faker made
on Nemesis.
mistakes in lane and team
on
fights that were crucial.
5-1-6 on Bwipo. An incredible game so far, and as we look back at this, the confidence from Fnatic, this is the team European fans expected.
Yeah, Hylissang flashes over.
But also,
the
like,
wall,
there has to be
get this
credit
turret
given to
onto
Fnatic.
Faker. They know they get that
Like,
pick, they get
Fnatic is forcing SKT into really awkward situations. Yes, Khan should have never opted into that trade versus Bwipo at level 1, but Bwipo was in a position to get that trade on Khan, and it happened. Like, Bwipo's taking risks and asking Khan question, like, are you going to take this trade? Are you going to do this? And Khan is not reacting properly to it. But the very fact that Bwipo's asking Khan these questions, like, hey, are you going to take this trade? Hey, are you going to dive me here when I have really good wave clear? Like, they're putting SKT in positions to fuck up. It's not that SKT is like tripping out of nowhere. Like, Fnatic is like putting their leg out. Like, Fnatic is like pushing them around, and Fnatic is making it hard for SKT. Like, there's some times where a team just ends, and then there's times where people make it hard for you to play the game. It's forced mistake versus unforced mistake.
Looking for the setup on the Baron, they're picking it out. SKT picking it too. They know that this might have been the last mistake they could afford to make.
And if you thought engaging onto Fnatic was hard before, good luck trying to get close.
What the hell was that sound?
With Nemesis being level
Was that just
12,
me, or did you guys hear? Was that from game?
Just deny the engage.
4K, 3K, getting lower. Teddy over the wall. I don't think he can steal this one away. It's going to drop. Broxa gets the smite. Fnatic get the Baron.
MasterCard. So anytime the MasterCard icon's up there, we're gonna hear that.
Could look for the disengage. Teddy, of course, with the cleanse up. He has the flash as well. Just going to flash out to safety. Hylissang will not find the engage.
They're not done yet.
Youmu's coming through for Bwipo. He wants to chase. Gets the extra movement speed. Teddy.
Run,
Dash
Teddy.
away there. Uses the ultimate. Broxa coming in. He's going to throw the cats. He's going to knock him back to the wall. Fnatic want to keep it going. Cade gets in the baby cage and gets knocked out of the game. Effort has to go back in. It's a massive fight. The Alistar, a miserable game for Effort as he's been caught time after time.
Fnatic are relentless. It's the 5-man roaming death squad that will chase you down, and they find another kill.
And the crowd here in Verdi, they know it. We've been here before. It was 2017. The dream was alive. You thought it was dead when you saw the names SKT and RNG, but Fnatic are keeping their dreams alive. They're keeping the hopes of Europe going as they push into the base of SKT. This will be 2 inhibitors down. 1 to follow. SKT, they still have scaling. They can hold on, but this is Fnatic's game to lose.
2 minutes left on the Baron buff. SK Telecom trying to chase them out of the base, but there's nothing that Fnatic have to be afraid of. The only hard engage is that of Effort. The Alistar.
Fnatic outscaled SKT. There's no way SKT can catch up in scaling now. Fnatic has to like throw 2 team fights in a row, then maybe, just maybe. And also Khan fucked his build. He can't get Zhonya's, he can't get Voice Staff, he can't get Death Cap. He went like extremely early game focused item to Magic Pen with Proto Belt, and he's out of the game. And he didn't get ahead by going these items, so he's out of the game. Like, Lee items are completely fucked. Kai'Sa's like the only one scaling decently. SKT only has like 1 truly functioning champion. Everyone else is fucked.
And and they just have to keep their flanks warded, and they should be able to continue the game as planned. 2 minutes left on the Baron buff, and they should continue to push.
This Veigar pick was just so big brain because it's so difficult to engage onto it. We talked about how just in the matchup alone,
I don't think Akali's
because
fine
Akali
here.
only has dashes, it's hard for her to close the gap. But the entire
Akali 2 minutes at 23 minutes, 2 items at 23 minutes has fallen behind a lot.
gauge of SKT is just hard
and
to
Veigar's
execute because
reading
of the
like
amount of
crazy.
engage. Achille goes in.
What the fuck was Teddy doing there? Bye, Teddy.
Reckless finds the pick in the end.
You laughed at Hylissang in lane phase, but he is making them pay. Another chase down.
And another inhibitor for Fnatic. And Venice, you talked about it, the
Veigar CS mattered so little.
So many short-range champions that want...
Fnatic sacrificed CS on carries by grouping up. Like, Fnatic in mid-game were like, okay, we're not going to give SKT a chance to come back in the game. We're going to group as 5. They have shit wave clear, and they're not going to be able to defend against our turret dive or turret sieges, and they weren't. So they sacrificed farm, and SKT sent Vladimir to side farm. SKT sent Kai'Sa to side farm, and Vladimir and Kai'Sa could catch up on farm, and Veigar and GP had to sacrifice farm, but it didn't matter because they were getting turrets and they were getting ahead of fights. Like, that's why the farm is kind of fucked for Fnatic, because they sacrificed farm to group up, and SKT spread out, and they got busted wide open.
Want to dive the back line, and Veigar says no. They don't even need him anymore.
I mean,
That's
Europe got
Veigar
incredibly
team
lucky
is
that their
almost
players
10K
played well
in favor of Fnatic, 8K at the moment.
and made the right
If
decisions
Fnatic take this game,
and just played the
they
game
can
properly
still force a tiebreaker.
and made good macro decisions.
With
So
SKT.
lucky of them.
Yes.
Like this day, they could still get first in the group.
Whippo overstays
Okay,
his
Whippo
welcome
actually
and
inting.
is shut down. A good pick for SKT. Maybe it'll let them hang on to the base, but Fnatic have earned some of those mistakes. Can't afford to make too many more.
Definitely a believer in week 2 Europe, Vedius.
Wait,
Yeah, we'll just
after
forget
yeah,
yesterday.
Forget yesterday. Day 1 happened. Day 3 happened. I wasn't here for day 2. I have no idea what
But you're
happened.
right. If Fnatic somehow go 3-0, then
It's possible.
yes, if they're able to do that, then this group becomes very interesting. I think that in order to challenge for first, they need Clutch to be SKT as well.
True.
But what this is building up towards is the RNG versus Fnatic game at the end of the day. It is going to be an extremely important matchup that pretty much decides how this group will play out. But Fnatic still have to close. As you said, Dracos, this is their...
One thing I will say is I gave Whippo so much shit, and I didn't give him leeway for being sick, or Brockstep for being sick. They are playing incredibly well. It's just, I hate giving people leeway for being sick, because anything outside of the game, it really should not matter. And when you start accounting for things outside of the game, like, analyzing becomes so fucking weird. Like, there has to be like a flat and a clean surface that you're analyzing from. But when you're like, oh, this team is sick, oh, this team is tilted, oh, they're playing in Europe, oh, they really played bad in the first game, so they're not adapting, then it just becomes really weird to analyze.
Game to lose. Teddy still very far behind on the itemization. Faker very strong, but not really strong enough to be able to melt through this entire Fnatic roster. And you just look across the board. Reckless, 3 items. Nemesis, nearly 8 fully stacked Mejais. Whippo
No, like,
going for a bit of...
There are definitely sickness that can affect you, and I will apologize to Fnatic because I was very insensitive about. I don't care if they're sick. You have to show up. I truly, genuinely do believe that. Like, I don't care if you're sick. Like, you have to show up, but just analyzing teams becomes really wacky when you're like, should I be hard on them because they were sick, or should I not be hard on them because they were sick, or should I just judge the play for what it is? And if you just take away everything and you're just always judging the play for what it is, then it becomes fair, but it's just hard to do that every single time.
Lethality, Fnatic would have to do a lot of mistakes in order to throw this game away.
And Hylissang, it's been so aggressive so far and it's paid off, but as SKT get further and further in the game, he has to be more careful.
Stop being a Udyr, stick to your principles.
Will start to be a bigger and bigger threat with the double evolves, and this is the flank we talked about. It's effort on the backside. Fnatic have to be ready for this Alistar, and they are.
All Leona has to do is chase around Alistar. Leona doesn't have to participate. Leona can sit here and chase away the Alistar, so Alistar can't flank. That's all she has to do. Just sit here
They will not
and let everyone
They're
else
taking
push.
their time on this siege.
They have to be patient because mid and top have not walked in yet with the super minions. They will arrive soon. They should arrive at the same time as the bot wave. And at that point, SKT will be forced to divide.
Time is working in favor of Fnatic right now. You mentioned those super minions. Teddy has to go top to deal with them. They can try and push in on this wave. Teddy's running back right now, but the Gangplank ultimate is down.
GP ult, Cage comes out, Khan gonna be trapped inside it. Broxah leaps forward, will not find the engage. The tower is the focus for Fnatic. And they will break it. SKT stepping forward, but they won't connect. Hylissang going over the wall, trying to find the engage. The Cage connects on Clid. They're not going to take the bait, though. They're focusing. They want 3 inhibitors. They will not get over-aggressive for kills. They see the end in sight, and they will not falter here.
Yeah, Fnatic don't need to take any gambles because they have the pressure with all of these super minions walking in. The Baron will spawn in a minute. They're not going to overstay.
That's like the infamous Clid play. Clid is one of the cleanest when it comes to insects, but it doesn't matter at this point.
But still the Cage comes out. He stops the engage. Khan has to find a way in.
Flyguard Zhonya's? Zhonya's? Okay, no Zhonya's. No one else dying.
The shutdown onto Veigar. Will it buy enough time?
Reckless has teleport. He gets
Did he already use stopwatch in the game? Because if he hadn't used stopwatch yet, this null mantle should definitely be a stopwatch.
Only Faker is left alive to look as his team crumbles, and Fnatic will look to make the European Week 2 dream a reality.
After a miserable Week 1, here it is, folks. LEC fans, the dream is alive!
Wow. Holy shit. Fnatic got so lucky that Bwipo played well, and Fnatic got so fucking lucky that Nemesis played well, and they got so fucking lucky they were making right decisions in the mid game and took calculated risk. Holy fuck, what a lucky game. Well, I mean, props where props needs to be given. They just put SKT in really awkward spots, and they never let SKT split push. Because they could have played it a little different, and they also could have been very much, like, they could have been a lot slower about the gameplay, but once they had the lead, they just kept sieging, and they never allowed Vladimir to actually do what he wanted to do, and never allowed Akali to do what he wanted to do, and they just kept making it really awkward for SKT. Come group, come group. We don't care about CS, come group, come fight us. We're way stronger than you right now, and we're not gonna allow you to get to your core items. Damn. So lucky.